Peace, family. So I'm back with another one. Today what I wanted to do is I wanted to talk to my chosen ones about how communication is key to understanding where someone's belief system is coming from. There are only two playbooks. I don't care which religion you banging, you claiming, it all still meets up with the Most High. And then you have everything else that's opposing the Most High. You know what I mean? And we are in a day and age where everything is being overly used. We are in overfluence and abundance in everything. We actually need to cut a lot of stuff out of our diets, out of our daily habits and routines and rituals. But communication, right? We use this word a lot. Communication. Commute. That means you're going somewhere. Cation, I didn't look up the definition before I started doing this. It just literally is just coming to me as I am speaking right now. Cation, you're commuting and then you're putting communication on there together. Cation is kind of like compounding it all in together, kind of like the cap of the recipe. You know what I mean? But in order to commute, you have a lot of elements that goes into what we do on a regular basis that people will use as manipulation and as a control tactic. And then some people just use it blindly and just not understanding that when we communicate outwardly, we're supposed to be projecting how we genuinely are on the inside outwardly, not putting on a mask of what someone else should be perceiving us as, or what we feel like the perception of us they want is the one we just packaged up real nice to give to them. You know what I mean? So understanding this thing called communication, because we all are talking, we all are engaging and interacting with each other. You know what I mean? But you gotta process it this way, right? You have somebody who's Spanish over here who doesn't speak any English. They speak their language. I just said Spanish. Spanish is not a thing, okay? It's a language. I didn't mean to put that on them. I am very aware. It's just communicating things out in layman's terms sometimes just comes off that way, the way the English language is. But beings who speak Spanish, right? Then you got beings who speak English. These two, outside of the system, think outside of the system, no system in place. These two can still be able to trade and barter with each other, even not speaking the same language. These two would be able to read each other's energy without speaking the same language. We understand these things, but when you allow people who don't share the same belief system as the Most High to communicate outwardly, you're allowing them to spew a bunch of bullshit vibration out. And it's kind of like if somebody just turned the sprinkler system on in the house. It's not, the sprinklers isn't going to kill you, but you're still going to sit there and get wet. And if you sit under the sprinklers long enough getting soaked, people know that things can happen to your body. We call it, pneumonia or some other shit, weird word we use, you know what I'm saying? Shit. Your body just ain't feeling it when it get too wet, you know what I mean? So, it's a lot of things that go hand in hand with these things, right? But we got to understand with communicating, because I have my daughter now, so I'm able to use her as an example. She's only 7, about to be 8. She hasn't always been in my life for me to be able to use her as an example. You know what I mean? But since she is here, I am able to use this as an example. So it's like when I communicate with her and she's physically at a lower number than a lot of grown-ass adults, but her comprehension and understanding is like, if perfect was a word, that's how most of our little beings are. It's just they get diluted into believing in the masses. The masses feel this way, so they believe it. The masses do things that way, so they feel that way and they carry it that way. You know what I mean? So that's where we have the trickery comes in at, because I could mention something to my mini and then she'll understand it and grasp onto it right away. And if it was something that, say it was something she wasn't supposed to be doing, which usually she get free reign, you know what I'm saying? She just gotta ask me if it's something that she feels like, daddy might not be okay with it, or if she knows it's gonna make a mess, she already know at this age, like, just clean up behind yourself. Like, shit, if you wasn't in the house and I was a grown-up and I made a mess, I'm just gonna clean it up. I'm not gonna sit around and beat myself up all day because I spilled the mess and I'm in the house by myself. So I do the same thing with her, you know what I mean? Like, if you make a mess, just clean it up. At the other house, it's a little different, but when she with me, just clean up. The comprehension is very easy. You know, it helps settle that thing that goes on in the inside when you feel like somebody's about to get angry at you over something that you did when they already let you know that, hey, as long as you just take care of it behind yourself, nobody cares about that. We all make mistakes. That's what understanding that we all make mistakes, you know what I mean? But as far as communication goes, it's like, if you are engaging with beings and you've been engaging with beings for over years, you know, even over months is a really long time, you know. I could say even weeks is a really long time. It's like, anytime I communicate with somebody, it's always for clarity. It's not to control their narrative or their thought process, you know what I mean? So even if it's something that they don't like, then I'm communicating outwardly. I'm making sure that it's clear, like, hey, I don't like anchovies on my pizza or something like that. Like, but I wouldn't dance around and be like, yeah, get whatever pizza you want, and then they say something about anchovies, and I'm like, oh, no, I don't want no anchovies. Like, no. That's creating more friction for me to manage and settle it that way, opposed to me just saying, oh, you want a pizza? Yeah, just whatever you want, just don't put no anchovies on it. That makes it a lot easier. We got the problem and we got the solution. A lot of beings is not looking for solutions, they're looking to control you. So that's the difference with communication. Like, my mom called me today and she just needed some energy, you know what I mean? So y'all already know how I feel about that situation, but like I said, with the ones close to us, we gotta learn how to engage with them differently and not hold and hinder so much of their part in, you know, our lives. So my grandmother getting old, she 90, she in the old folks home now, you know what I mean? And to a small degree, like, I beat myself up for not being a better man and putting myself and my family in a better position so that way she wouldn't have to be in the old folks home, you know what I'm saying? Because I feel like once you get to that age and you done lived this long through all of this shit, like, you should be on cloud 9 until you on your way out the door, you know what I mean? So, like, you should be having everything, especially if you wasn't no demon or no witch, you know what I'm saying? Like, you should be having everything taken care of for you. Like, that shouldn't even be a place you gotta go to. But my mom was just feeling it a little bit, you know what I'm saying? She got a little sad down, my grams is not eating this much, blah, blah, blah. She kind of knowing that my grandmother's about to make her exit, you know? And even if you are aware of these things, you still aren't, like, always in that space to be, like, excited, because you still have to deal with the process of actually physically letting go and spiritually letting go, you know what I mean? So it's not like I don't love my grandma. I love my grandmother to death. But it's like my mom called me a little frustrated, a little upset, a little down, you know, because of the process, and she crying and stuff. And for me, it's like, my mom would never bring me that energy unless it was something that was really impacting her. And because of our communication throughout life, it's been this kind of weird separation, distance, battle in between us. But it's like, she's starting to see, like, okay, none of her brothers or sisters are even coming down here to see my nana while she's in her process, you know what I'm saying? And it's just like, my mom is the youngest, so she been the closest with her mom, but then it's like, you next in line. That's how it's supposed to be. They're next in line. So then it's like, okay, well, if their little ones is not even here to watch them go, if you aren't doing the best you can, don't you know that you could possibly be in that same position, if not in a worse position on your way out? I didn't say these things to her. I was processing, thinking, and I was just giving her the emotional empathy that she needed at the time, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, this is something I've been telling you, Bones. Like, I've been telling you, like, yo, we always gotta wait for something drastic to happen for us to get to that space. But it's like, I love my mom, I just don't love that demon. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, you stop hanging out with that nigga and I can fuck with you, man. It's like, but I'm still here and I got you, and I gotta hug you and kind of keep my hand like guarded and protected and weapon ready. Like, come on, man. Like, I just want to fully love and grab with 2 arms. I want to give a nice big one, you know what I mean? But that comes with the communication. Our commute to keep what we had going on was all scrambled, because everybody look at people who don't follow the system flow as being unorthodox and they're not properly right. But then, that's just speaking as far as family, but then you have other beings who you deal with, friends, spouses, all these other things, who communicate with you, and it's not really a communication. It's like, hey, do this. Hey, do that. Hey, I need this. Hey, I need that. Hey, I need this. Hey, I need that. Hey, I've been doing this and I've been doing. That's not communication. That's not communication. Those are demands. Those are like different forms of control tactics. Like, that's what is the problem is here. I need you to do, and then the solution is you doing it, right? But with those energies and that entity, it's always going to be that same process, because they're using the wrong playbook. But in their world, they don't feel as though they're using the wrong playbook. They feel as though we are using the wrong playbook. How can somebody talk to you about the Most High and they don't even walk and follow that life? And why would you get mad or frustrated when you know you've been living that way for a very long time? Even if you have been slipping and falling and making mistakes and bumbling and tumbling and shit. Like, we out here in the middle of a war field, so as long as you get back up and you still fighting a good fight, you can let them demons say what they say. It's always so mind-blowing to me, because somebody cannot control you. They call you a demon. Like, you haven't done anything ill-intentional towards them, but because their commute-to-cate you is really a commute to control you. It's not a commute-to-cate you, it's a commute to control you. So anything that's gonna be a commute to control me, then I gotta overanalyze and process and see if I wanna give this entity that kind of control over me. You know, if I wanna be that compromising in that situation, you know what I'm saying? Because you can compromise in situations. I'm not against compromising, but what I am against is these demons trying to control. You know what I'm saying? Like, in my world, it's like, and even when I see that, I got people that be like, oh, why you saying in your world? This is your world. Like, I don't mean like in my world, like, because when I process it, right, I think of it like when I was in high school and I played basketball, right? I played football too, but I'm just using basketball. When I played basketball, when we talked, when we was like before games, or if we're on the court, or if we're on the sidelines, like, when we talked as if we all understood that we're speaking coming from the same team. We're all patriots right now, so you should already understand my communication is coming from right here. So if you taking it that way, then I can only perceive that you are being opposition during the time. You know what I mean? So just understanding how this communication goes a long way, and how just like being aware that some people will reiterate and say things over and over again, either trying to help you or trying to control you. This is where it gets catchy at. You have to know a person's fruits, and a being or entity fruits, and know if they're using this tactic to control you or if they're using it for the other form. You know what I mean? So communication goes a long way. And I'm just speaking as far as like the verbiage of it, not even speaking as far as like the energy that goes behind the things being said, people facial expressions. Like, a lot of things don't always add up if you watch people and listen to them talk. Their facial expressions will be doing one thing. If you look in their eyes, there's never really any real like genuine life in there. It's always like they're trying to hold back some kind of rage or anger. You know what I mean? And it's like, if they didn't give these movies to us with demonic possessions, we would automatically assume that these are demonic possessions. But because we watch movies, we just assume that these are not demonic possessions. You know what I mean? So beings who've been communicating clear their entire life, you know, it's kind of like, all right, so let me do it this way, because I was about to make it a little confusing, because sometimes it get a little tricky trying to process everything. It's a little chilly out here too. And so like this, I had somebody get frustrated with me, and it was like, that's why all your females that you used to date before all slept with your friends or some shit like that. That says a lot about you. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, what? On a percentage scale, that does. Like, I gotta take a percentage of that. I chose that being. But at the bulk or the bigger percentage of it, the females that chose to sleep with my associates, it shows what kind of fucking beings and characters they are. You know what I mean? It goes to show the lengths that they're willing to go to, that they was going to before me, and the shit that they're doing after me. You know what I mean? So I'm cool with taking accountability in a small percentage of it, but that comes with understanding, communication. We all know that we take accountability on a percentage. Don't ever allow somebody to just dump their whole wastebasket on you. You know what I'm saying? Like, whoa. I am taking accountability. On a 100% scale, I am taking about 20% accountability. I did not pull the trigger, but I drove the vehicle. So maybe I could take 40. But you are definitely taking that other 60 or 40 or 70%. You know what I'm saying? Like, anytime you're dealing with beings who aren't trying to get to clarity and they're constantly trying to fight you, you have to understand you gotta shut it down. Don't matter what they say, you have to shut it down. You gotta shut it down. And you have to understand that some of these beings are creepy. I say they're creepy because they are sneaky. Meaning that you were sleeping one day and then you wake up with a knife in your back the next day. You know what I'm saying? You thought they was fixing you a delicious meal. 2 days later, your ass is feeling all woozy and sick. You know what I'm saying? They done put something in there. You know what I mean? So just kind of be aware. Like, communication goes a long way, and people should always be trying to communicate with clarity. You know what I'm saying? Genuinity and sincerity. You know what I'm saying? Like, conclusions and results. You know, if you got a problem, it shouldn't still be a problem afterwards. You know what I'm saying? Unless you just, the only being that can really give you a little bit more push is the Most High. So then that way you just got to be patient for your answers. You know what I mean? But I ain't want to run it up too long. Tap into everything down below. You know what I'm saying? Peace and love to the